Okay, so now both of these rails are just about even with each other. Now this side is about right that you can fit rail joiners in it. I'm going to be taking an extra tie off and also an extra tie off on this side just so that there's enough room, and as you can see, you can tell that this is the fixed rail because the ties go along it and there's no separate spacing where it can be flexed. Whereas this side, you're able to see gaps in the black plastic. There you go, that's a better view. So generally you'll only have to cut one side. In that case it's going to be on the fixed rail, which is to our left. So I'm going to be cutting this rail, or that tie, and this tie right here. Okay, so I've cut both ends of the ties off. To do that, I just snipped right there. Simple. There's going to be a little bit of plastic sticking off, but that's alright. It doesn't matter. Alright, so the next step is to file the ends and to make it flush. Now when you cut it with any ordinary tool such as these, what you're going to find is your rails are probably going to be bent, and there is also going to be some sticking off from the bottom, because when you cut it, the pressure applies the metal to be going downward because of the force applied. So to eliminate that problem, because you want flush rails, as seen just about everywhere on my layout, you're just going to need a file. You can use sandpaper if you want. I'm using a bigger file because I lost my small hobby file. This is a triangle. It works pretty well. So I'm going to try to hold it while I do this. I'll probably have to cut the video. But as you can see, I just want it flush, and you just take the rail up to it because you want it even on both, and just file it like that. Once your rails are even on both sides, just turn the rail piece over, take your file, and file the bottoms. Okay, so once you have filed the ends of your rails and also the bottoms, just the next step is to install it. Same process as we did with the rest of the pieces. So just use your hammer, whatever tool that you need to get between the rails, and also your joiners, well, the spikes. You're going to want one at both ends, and depending on how it's curved, if it's old, like this one's used, so it's a bit bent in the middle, you're going to want to just even that out. These are probably going to take a bit more. If you just got them from the hobby store, they're probably going to take one in the middle and one on each end. Now, as you can see, there's going to be a gap with no ties there, and I'm going to show you how you can fix that in the next clip. Okay, so as you can see, I've got my section nailed down. Rail joiners are on nice and snug. You can see I've got good gaps there. Not good gaps, no gaps. And now, to eliminate the problem of there being a gap in between both rail sections, you're going to want some ties. Now, I always keep things spare ties. I got these from old pieces of flex track, things that I cut off, or just having to sacrifice one of these every once in a while. Really, these should just be scraps. You shouldn't have to actually take rails or ties off another rail. But as you can see here, there's going to be some spurs coming off of it. You want those gone, and also anything used to secure the rails, there's none here. But if you look closely, you'll be able to see the spikes, or the scale spikes, that go onto the rail to keep it in place. You want those off of there because you want it to be flush. So you can glue these if you want. Really all that you should have to do is just take it, slide it in there, and there you go. Problem solved. Okay, so the next step and the final step for laying down your track is to solder your rail joints. Now this, of course, is optional, but it is highly preferred and you'll definitely see a difference in your performance. Now I'm using a 15 amp soldering iron. The soldering iron itself, I think, was $8 at Radio Shack, and probably the best purchase I've ever made in my life, besides my iPhone. Now this stand was, I think it was an extra $7, but the total came out to be $16 flat. Now this stand is probably the handiest thing that you could really think of. It holds a soldering iron, and to get the excess solder off, all you have to do is scrape it against the sponge. Another great thing that you can tell right here is it's grounded. I would highly prefer, especially when working with heat and stuff, that you get grounded tools. That goes with power tools too, for bench work and whatnot. Always, go on the safe side here. So the solder that I'm using, it's real cheap stuff. It's nothing expensive. This whole thing was about $2, and you could find solder at a local hardware store, hobby shop, anywhere. This is real thin solder. You're going to want small solder, and you can see that that'll just about fill the rail gap there. So I'm going to be showing you on how to fill in the gaps, like that one right there, and also how to solder the joints. So I'm going to get the camera set up, and we'll get started. Okay, so I'm going to be soldering this joint right here. This happens to be a joint. I'm not going to do the gaps just yet. So the first step is you're going to want to make sure that your soldering iron has been heated for about 3 minutes, 3 or 4. Either is fine. Just make sure that I have the sponge so I can hear it like that to know it's hot. And also you can just take solder, and you can tell that that's it's already melting it. Now you're going to want to get a little bit on the tip before you start, and now we'll get it on the rail. So I'm going to be doing this from the opposite side of the rail. That's the joint that needs to be soldered. Now there's already some solder on there. This happens to be a section from the section that I took up. I haven't put in my update yet, but it's over by Little Rock, by the industrial center over there. So this piece was already used. There's a bit of solder on it. I just took that off, so now we're starting fresh. So you're wanting to lay it across the rail joiner, and what you're going to do is just melt it on there. You're going to use the tip of the soldering iron to carry it over, and if it sticks, just drag it and pull it in the center. You want as little of solder as there as possible. You don't want more than you need, but you also want it to cover the rail joiner. So I can't really, because my camera doesn't change the focus. Don't worry, I'm going to get a better one soon. Yeah, don't touch the rail when it's hot, another thing. And it crosses both. It's a good solid connection, and always solder on the outside of the rail. If you solder on the inside, it'll affect the flanges, and then you'll get pretty much a roller coaster train going through your entire layout, and you'll have to redo that. Not a fun thing. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do the gaps now. Okay, so I've got the camera in position. Generally you want your area clean, but I've got this really ghetto kind of stand so that you can see it, because I'm going to need both hands when soldering. So I've got my soldering iron here, and this gap needs to be filled in. Now, the reason why this gap is open is because sometimes you can't do much about it, and you can always do this. It's easy, it's simple, so don't stress it. Another reason is because this curve had to be pushed more out, hence leaving the gap here. You're going to want to put the solder in between the two rails. Now, there's also two different methods for doing this. One is you can hold it and heat the rail and the rail joiner, like I'm doing right now, to the point of it actually heating up the rail enough to burn the solder, or to melt it rather. So right now that's about burning, don't touch it. You're going to want to get a little bit of solder on the tip, and you're probably going to need quite a bit. All that you're trying to do here is simply just get solder in between the rails. Alright, so that's done. Although it isn't flush, and there's a little bump right there, you always want it to be flush. To do that, you can just simply run the tip across, and it'll melt it in place. That is beautiful. You don't want it to interfere with the flanges, so you just want to make sure your access solder that you need to connect the joints is on the outside. So that's done. As you can see, this is real easy, it's simple, it's very effective, and I hope you enjoyed the tutorial on how to lay your track work. I will possibly make more of these depending on if you guys like them or not, so leave the comments down below. If you liked it, leave a like rating. If you didn't, just move on.